Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. Elvis, released in 2022, and is directed by Baz Luhrmann, who has also directed such films like Strictly Ballroom, Moulin Rouge, Australia, The Great Gatsby, and Romeo + Juliet. And this film is starring Austin Butler, Olivia de Jonge, Helen Thompson, Richard Ruxborough, Kelvin Harrison Jr., David Wenham, Cody Smith-McPhee, Luke Bracey, and Tom Hanks doing something weird here. And the reason why I'm talking about Elvis today is because it was a recommendation from my biggest supporter in my life and on this channel, my wife, Tammy Snyder-Knudsen. Baby, I love ya. If I had millions of dollars, I would buy a jet plane and I would call it the Tammy, baby. No, but seriously, thank you for recommending this movie and thank you for supporting me and just everything that I do here on YouTube, or at least that I try to do. You make everything worth it. Thank you so much. And she recommended this movie because she watched it before me. That's right, that's a rarity in itself. But she was just enthralled by the performance of Austin Butler and his take on Elvis, and I'm going to agree with her. One, because she is my wife, and that's what I have to do. I need to agree with her. But holy shit, this performance by this actor is one of the most inspiring performances that I have ever seen. First off, agreeing to take on the role of Elvis, who is parodied all over the world, has been talked about in several films and TV shows, and talked about in other songs, and have been parodied in different live performances in Vegas and really all over the world. Everyone has an Elvis impression. Everyone does. Oh, thank you very much. Everyone does that, or everyone has done that at least once in their life. So for this actor to agree to take on this role, who is widely parodied, but to play him in a truthful and honest way, or at least attempt to, is just a daunting task in itself. And the fact that this motherfucker pulled it off it's just mind-blowing. How is he able to do this? For those of you that don't know what the movie Elvis is about, it is about the life of Elvis as a musician. But it's told in a different way than we usually see with biopics on musicians. Usually we just see them from birth and where they got their inspiration, and then we see them make it big, then we see them start drinking and popping the pills, and then we see them go down a dark route. And really the only difference between biopics on musicians is at the end, do they pull themselves out or do they end up dying a terrible death? This movie, though, tells the story of Elvis through the eyes of the Colonel, who was his manager, who really bled him dry and kept him performing at the International Hotel in Las Vegas for the rest of his life. Something that he maybe wanted to do for a little bit, but definitely didn't want to do, really, to what ended up being the end of his days. He wanted to travel. He wanted to perform internationally. He wanted to go all over the world. He says it in this movie. He's never been out of the country, and he wanted to. But because this slimy, slizeball, fat little penguin of a man, the Colonel, doesn't have a visa and is just really a big con artist, he is a carny, he's able to sweet talk Elvis and to keep him here stateside and to keep him really performing on the international hotel stage, what Elvis calls this golden trap, for the rest of his life. This is a sad, sad movie on what really was in real life just a really sad and tragic life. This boy loved music and he loved performing. He loved feeling the music. He was brought up in a black community where he would hear black music being sung and danced to and played all the time, and there was a different feeling that he got from it, and he loved the sound of it. That when he became a musician himself and he learned about music, that's all he wanted to do, that's all he wanted to sing, was the songs he got from the black culture that he grew up in. And I love that they covered that. In white society, we call Elvis the king of rock and roll, but rock and roll really comes from African Americans and the songs that they would sing in their own style. It's just because Elvis had white skin, he was able to take those songs and to bring them to a predominantly white culture and society. A lot of other films, when they talk about rock and roll stars, don't really cover that rock and roll really came from African Americans. So I love that this movie really covered that and said, no, this is where it comes from, and this is why Elvis was getting a lot of flack from a lot of conservative minds. And it takes a while for us to get introduced to Elvis, which is probably why in the first, quarter of this movie where we're just focusing on the Colonel, I'm kind of sitting there thinking, I don't know how I feel about this movie. Because the editing is very kinetic. It is very fast. There's a lot of fast cuts like every single second, and we're moving from one thing to the next very quickly. We really don't have any time to breathe or to slow down, and plus we have Tom Hanks doing something here that's so fucking weird. The accent that he's going for, I don't even know what it is. It sounds a little Irish. It's the Tom Hanks voice, so it kind of has that higher sound to it. Kind of, Woody, But it also sounds like he's talking to us like we're babies, like baby talking to us. I found Elvis, you see, and then I put him up on the stage, and he's gonna perform for the rest of his life and make us a lot of money. That was his performance. It's so freaking weird. Tom Hanks, I love the man. I love the actor. He's America's sweetheart, and when eventually he does pass away, it's gonna hurt. That one's gonna hurt me like crazy. And I love his acting in most films. In this one, though, I've never seen any veteran actor be showed up like this before. Because the second that Austin Butler gets in there and he's method acting Elvis like crazy, there have been stories and interviews with him talking about where he developed the Elvis voice, and he would think like him, he would walk around like him, he would talk like him as much as he could. And then during 2020, during the whole pandemic shutdown, he was kind of trapped in the hotel room. He was trapped in the country that they were shooting this film in, but he didn't want to break kayfabe. He didn't want to break that mindset, so he kept talking like Elvis for a very long time, longer than what you probably should. And it's taken him a long time to break that Elvis voice and to break the Elvis mannerisms. After filming for this film Wrapped, you see him in interviews talking about this movie, he's still talking like Elvis. And I even think to this day he has little Elvis tics in his voice and in his mannerisms. But Butler is an intelligent and an incredible performer. For him to handle this character with such love, and I think that's what makes this performance stand out so much for me, is that you can tell that this actor loves this character. And you don't get that with a lot of actors taking on a character in really any film. Personally, I see a lot of actors showing up in a movie because it's the job, it's the next performance, and then I'm going to move on to the next one. You can tell that Austin Butler is putting everything into this, to where if this is the last time this man ever performs, he's going to go out on a high note. And what we get is an incredible dichotomy between real-life Elvis story and then Austin Butler taking on the real-life Elvis story. To see Elvis, first off, who loved music and who loved performing, who always had a song to sing, who always found joy and love in performing and for singing. But then once the curtain dropped and once the song stopped, that's when all of his demons started coming out. And that's when he started popping pills and drinking all the time, getting out of shape, becoming depressed. But when those lights came back on and that microphone turned on, the joy, the happiness just overtook him, and the music always overtook him. Even though he probably couldn't stand up a lot or stay on his feet in the last couple of months of his life, he still loved to perform. Now, to see Austin Butler, this young actor, take on a character who loves something that much, and to see that love reciprocated by him in loving this character of Elvis so much, it's awe-inspiring, and it brings tears to my eyes thinking that acting could do something like this, could just show unconditional love for someone who is not perfect, for someone that had so much love for something else. I watched this performance and there's a part of me that says, gosh, it would be nice to get back on stage again, just to have that moment that Austin Butler has when he performs for the first time on that International Hotel stage as Elvis. He's not doing the Elvis mannerisms because that's the parody thing to do. Oh, thank you very much. He's doing it because he is feeling the joy. He is feeling the love in that music that he is performing. And he actually performed it. He actually sang these songs. They did a little reviving of his singing in post-production where they kind of infused his voice with the Elvis recordings to kind of make them into one, but it's actually Austin Butler singing and doing all the motions up there. Just watch that caught in a trap scene, that first performance on the International Hotel stage. It probably will become one of my favorite scenes in movies. I'm not going to say that now just because I've just watched this movie. It's too new to tell, but it just puts a smile on my face seeing someone just feel it in their body and in their soul about how much they love the fuck what they're doing. Elvis impressed me, and the big thing about it was that it broke the mold of how you typically tell a biopic on a musician. Like I said before, what we usually get is pretty straightforward. We just look at their life, but to tell it from this vantage point, from someone else's vantage point, to see him and to see all of the evil things and the slimy things that this guy was doing, destroying this performer's love for the art that they were doing. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. This movie is a tragedy. This man's life, Elvis's life, is one of the biggest tragedies to ever happen to this world, because we had this wonderful artist, this person who would perform for us and who truly loved what they were doing, didn't care about the money, didn't care about the success, just wanted to sing. And we lost him because there's some other people, spiders, parasites, just feeding off of him for their own financial gain. It's sad. Do yourself a favor and watch this film. There's a reason why it was nominated for Best Picture. There is a reason why Austin Butler was nominated for Best Performance. Gosh, it's close between him and Brendan Fraser. I mean, Brendan Fraser ended up winning the trophy. It could have easily gone to this man. I'm not going to make a decision yet for myself who I think should have won, but goddamn, Austin Butler, thank you. Let me just say that. It was a privilege to watch him on screen. I don't think I've ever said that on this channel before, that it was a privilege watching someone. It was a privilege watching Austin Butler perform in this movie. That's how great he was. I'm going to give Elvis 4.5 out of 5 Blu-rays.
It's good. It's good. It's good.
So guys, have you seen Elvis? What did you think about it? What is your favorite Elvis song, if you have one? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know what you thought about it. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I release my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.